but this is for all the grantees that will need to take a look at this if they are unable to attend right now. So officially, everyone, just letting you know, welcome to the Early Childhood Equity Fund orientation. This is recorded right now, and so if we can send this out. If there's anyone in your staff that you feel after this orientation should definitely take a look at the orientation, you'll have the link as well, and so we'll do that. And so, housekeeping. We ask for everyone to please mute their buttons to mute it because, there's that background noise that really gets into the way and we can't really hear the presenters or hear any questions that are being asked. We ask that you please use the chat box if you have any questions, clarifying questions that's needed. I do say please consider the question that you're asking. If it's a general question that fits for everyone, definitely put it in the chat box. But if you have questions that pertains to just your organization, for the sake of time, if you could just send that to us via email, that would work a lot more just because, we all know that when those questions start to arise, it takes a lot of time. And then we ask that, if we don't get into all the questions in orientation, please give us some grace and we will reply back to you in an email. We're going to collect all the questions and we'll reply back in an email. And then also be patient with technology. We're all learning. If someone comes on and they forgot to mute, let's be patient and we can remind them kindly to mute and hopefully everyone will give each other grace on that. Okay. And so, introductions. So, there's many of you that haven't talked to me yet or don't really know who I am. I came on board to the Early Learning Division 6 months ago. I was previously an associate director of Head Start, Early Head Start at Mount Hood Community College, where I was overseeing the programs and the CCP programs. But I've always been truly invested in equity, diversity, and inclusion. A lot of my work and everything that I do, it has that embedded in it. And so I would be the program manager for this program. And then I'll have Adina introduce herself. And then you can see on the chart here down below, it states kind of who is doing what. So you can see, anything with quality improvement, technical assistance, anything like that will go towards me. But there are obviously some tasks that will overlap between Adina and I. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to ask for you all to get your cell phones. And if you can put our cell phones in your phone. Adina and I both have new work cell phones. To the grantees that were using the cell phone number for the RFA process, now that's no longer a phone. Adina has her work cell phone and I have mine. And so I'm going to give you guys a minute to put the numbers in your phone just because I know we are all so busy and we say we'll do it later, but things always come up and obviously it doesn't become a priority until we need the number. And so definitely take this time now. I'm going to give you a minute to input Adina and my number into your cell phone because sometimes, a quick call is easier than writing an email, and so, and Adina and I want to be as present and as available as we can for you all because we truly want this program to be successful. You'll learn we both come from different backgrounds and we both completely understand, how important this work is. And, this is a great opportunity we have in the state of Oregon. So please put our cell phones, please take the time to put it in your phones now. And we'll go from there while you're all inputting it in. Like I said, I come from a Head Start and a QRS background. I was QRS coach in the state of Washington. And that's all I've done, over 10 plus years in program implementations in early care and education and with the quality rating improvement system. And let's see, and I'm Hmong. I speak Hmong fluently. I'm bilingual. Hmong was my first language and English was my second language. And so I'm a first generation born here as my parents are immigrants. And so I'm going to let Adina go ahead and introduce herself.
Thanks, Kimberly. Hi, everyone. I feel like I'm looking at your names and I'm like, oh, I know who they are. And I'm happy to see you or hear from you all. My name is Adina Hayslip. I'm grants manager for Equity Grant. I have been with ELD since January. I got hired 3 days before RFA was posted. And I'm working on everything: budget, reports, forms, payments, um, uh, regarding the equity grant. I'm Bosnian. I have been in US since 2013. That's where the accent comes from, because usually people will ask that first. Um, I am available anytime. I'm very passionate about this specific grant. There's many eyes on us, and we do really want to reach out these culturally specific populations that are usually left behind. So we are definitely ready to get going. So if you need anything, if you have questions, please call, email. Let's connect on video call or virtual meeting, and let's make this happen.
All right. So I hope you've plugged in our numbers or at least wrote it on a sticky note and put it aside. But definitely like what Adina said, this is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. They selected Adina and I for a reason because this is the reason why we're here at the ELD. And so definitely we want to be your partner. We do not want to be a person that's going to come and slap your hand and say, "Hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to." We want to be here for that's available for you to reach out and say, "Hey, Kimberly, quick question, yada yada yada," or "You know what, Kimberly, can we meet really quickly, can we talk really quickly?" And so Adina and I truly want to be as present as we can for you to help through this whole process. Like I said, this is a very important time for the state of Oregon with everything that's going on in our society that we live in. We really need resources invested in the communities that everyone said they're serving, and we are the ones that's going to set the tone. And so how we do this year is going to showcase and dictates what's going to happen next. And so it's really important that we are here holding each other's hands through the process and really making this successful. And so we said we would do roll call, but realized that would take too much time. So we asked for everyone, at least someone from your organization, to at least put down that you're present. But here's a list of all of you. All of you have a really important job this program year. We are going to be here supporting each other. We are here, for the first time ever, there's money invested in culturally specific organizations and early learning programs where we can truly make an impact on communities that have not been given the resources that they deserve. And so because of that, for me it was great to see all the different organizations. We have small organizations to organizations that are statewide, all over the locations all over. We are all over the state of Oregon. And so we went through a very long process. The review committee was I will tell you, the review committee wanted to make sure the money went to the right people, and so we argued and argued, and I wouldn't say argued, but we talked and deliberated for a very long time. Actually, they did because we allowed them to make the decisions. But looking through at all the applications, going through the process, looking at each leadership background, looking at your leadership team, their board team, looking at your backgrounds, really making sure that the leadership is or are reflective of the community that's being served. We dug deep because we wanted to make sure the money was going to the right people. And so you all are the lucky ones that are chosen. I wouldn't say lucky, but you are the ones that we should have gotten this money a long time ago for the families and the children's. And so, quick little program overview. You all know what the Equity Fund is. It's a part of the 2019 Student Success Act. In 2017, a coalition of community of culturally specific organizations partnered up with policymakers to come up with a fund that would be specifically just for culturally specific organizations and early learning program, because they found out, hey, they didn't find out, but they realized, hey, why is it that culturally specific organizations and early learning programs, why is there not a direct line with the state funding? They've happened to work with their programs and operate outside of the state systems, they too deserve state funding as well. And so with that and the advocacy, it became a part of the Student Success Act in 2019, last year. And so this is to support a broad range of early care and education services and parent support programs. And most importantly, to close the opportunity gaps. When we look at the Oregon Education Investment Board equity lens, when you look at the preamble, it says we must ensure that sufficient resource is available to guarantee their success. That is the piece that we're looking at, that there's sufficient resources. Are there sufficient resources in Oregon? Not enough. I would say not enough for these communities, but this is a start. This is a start. I'm glad Oregon, our state, is having this opportunity. And so you all are a part of this first initial opportunity. And so hopefully we're able to make it a successful year and program for the legislature and for everyone to see how successful it is, for there to be more funding that would be strictly just for these communities. And so I'm going to go over program requirements. And these are all, if you look in your grant manual, it's all listed in there, the information that I'm giving you. There's four program models. Some of you are implementing one, some of you are implementing more than one, or implementing all three. Parent education programs, those are programs that are focusing on enhancing, parenting practices, positive parenting practices, and helping the parents and the children learn and provide find the resources in the community. The parent-child interaction, those are programs that will serve the parent and the child together. Hopefully the result that there would be healthy attachment and bonding and child development that occurs from it. We all know what the kindergarten transition model is. That is for any targeted programs that are helping prepare children and families and the school on the transition of the children to the schools. Whether that is, helping with routines and expectations, whether that is information gathering, resource information, whether that is helping with enrollment, whichever kindergarten transition activities it is that you are doing in your program, that would fall under kindergarten transitions. And then when we look at tribal language preservation and revitalization, those are programs that integrate efforts to really preserve and restore and, revitalize the languages that would be embedded within the other three program models. And so there's some of you that are doing all three, four. Some of you that are just doing one. Some of you are doing a planning grant. Some of you, majority, are doing program grants. And so there's a wide range, and we are excited that there's a wide range because, there needs to be programs at every single level, and so we can connect with everyone. Eligibility. Now, you all have the process of determining the eligibility of the children that will participate in your program. One key thing that I did put in bold there is the children that you're serving must be birth to 5. Okay. We cannot serve children that are 6 years old. We cannot serve children that are 7, 8, 9 years old. This is specifically for birth to 5 only. Okay, so some of you specifically are 0 to 3. Some of you are 3 to 5. There's a program that's strictly just 4 and 5-year-olds. And so just wanted to put that out there again. Birth to 5 only. The funding is dedicated just to these children and these families. Okay. And there might be information that that you might want to put in the eligibility that that might not pertain to everybody else. For example, when we look at recruitment in a little bit, I'll talk about that. But this information must be tracked. And if Adina or I reach out to you and say, hey, can you give us your information eligibility? How are you doing? How are children eligible in your program? You should be able to speak to that to us. Okay. I can't see the chat box. So Adina, please let me know if there is a question that we should definitely connect on. Okay. And then
well, we have one of our saying that they clarified with Miriam and Lillian that age 6 was allowed. Lillian actually left the program before I joined, but that is what is in the rules. It's 0 to 5, and I can share these rules with you and Olivia And I can definitely verify with Miriam too and reach out to her. But this specific program within ELD is 0 to 5. So if you can send us an email after this meeting, that would be fine. But I'm again, we are following legislative rules regarding this grant, and we have to follow it. So if you can send me that email or reach out to either me and Kimberly, and we will clarify this for sure.
Yes, and I will. I said I would mention this, but I completely forgot. You know, my motto is be safe rather than sorry. So definitely, when you send Adina or I email, just to see Adina and I both. So, you know, because we connect every single day anyways. So we're going to connect and understand where everyone's at. If there's an email that comes where both of us are CC'd, one of us will reach out and connect with you. And so definitely send your questions our way and send it to both of us. And then we'll connect back with you. Okay.
Or just send an email to ECF inbox that you have been receiving communication, because we both have access to that.
That's right. And so another big piece is the grantees must implement practices to recruit children and families who are experiencing systemic disparities. And here's the thing, because of two or more of these factors. Okay. So there's race, ethnicity, English language proficiency, social economic status, geographic location. So at least two of those factors. And so definitely when you're looking at recruitment enrollment, definitely look at the families that are experiencing two or more of those. And you must focus depending on the program model that you had applied for us. And so definitely we will when I talk about monitoring, that's some pieces that, you know, maybe that could be a conversation that I'll have with you later on, you know, or Adina would when we're out to monitor or when we're talking with you in regards to monitoring. And definitely keep a record of all the enrollments. We're going to ask for the enrollment information. Adina, I believe, is going to share an enrollment form that we have came up with, and in that enrollment form, she'll talk about it. But that enrollment form is there for you to utilize as a tool. If you and your organization already have a tool that you're using to for enrollment, what we need in this enrollment form shows all the information and data that we must have. So if you take a look at the enrollment form and you are already collecting that information in your own enrollment form, that's completely fine. When we ask for the data, we just need the data. Okay. And so I believe Adina is going to show that later when she talks about it, reports. And so that tool is there for any of the organizations that may want to take a look and see what data we're trying to collect. Okay. Attendance obviously must be conducted in order for there to be funding. The children and the families must be there, and so we ask that, you know, there should be a absence policy. I'm gonna ask about what your policy is. I want to know what your policy with attendance and what it is and what efforts does your organization take. You know, these families experience the most disparities. You know, they have the most barriers that are systemically set in place for them. And so we want to be able to be open minded and to understand where they're at. And you all know these are communities that you all serve. You know them more than we do, you know, and so you can talk and reach out to them better than we can. And so we just want to know what the absence policy is, and we want to make sure that attendance is conducted and recorded. When it comes to evaluation, we are going to have a third party evaluator that will come evaluate the equity fund. Because here's the thing, when you have a program, you must have time to evaluate the program to see what things should change, what things should continue, what we should eliminate. And so, with that being said, we will have a third party evaluator that is going to be evaluating the equity fund. It's also a part of our permanent administrative order as part of the rules that we conduct an evaluation every biennium. And so, with that being said, grantees, you all must participate in it. If the third party evaluators are asking for an interview with you, please take part in the interview. If they're asking for data from you, please submit the data and please submit in a timely manner, because we have just the end of the year, a program year, to complete this evaluation. And so This is a part of the permanent administrative orders, the rules, as it's called. We're going to look at positive child indicators. We're going to look at positive family indicators. We're going to look at culturally specific methods and, building capacity of a culturally specific organizations. And here is the thing: we're in a very exciting time where there's no example of what a culture specific, what a successful equity fund is, right? And so what's going to happen is I'm giving you all the heads up that our very prospective third party evaluator that will be conducting this evaluation, they are going to ask for participants to be a part of conversations in which we can define what is a culturally specific method, what is a positive child indicator, because for your cultural community, because what is a positive child indicator for one community might be different from a different community. And so we are in a lucky we're really lucky to be able to implement and start a new kind of assessment and evaluation for this kind of a program. And so we really want the proper people at the table. And like the third party evaluators are saying as well, only you all can tell us what is successful and what's not, right? We can't tell you what is successful for a Micronesian community. We can't tell you what's successful for a Latino community. We can't tell you what's successful for an immigrant, a refugee community, a migrant family. And so we have to have these conversations to deliver and find and come with concrete definitions and expectations of what we think is successful. And what a successful equity fund program is. And so that's going to take place soon. And once everything comes into place, we'll let you know. We're going to reach out and ask for organizations to sit at the table. And we're going to want, small organizations to big organizations. So we have the voices from everyone and that we can. And so please definitely be ready for those emails that will come out once everything's finalized with our third party evaluator. I'll send those emails out. Okay. And this is what we have to do every biennial. We have to do an evaluation every biennium, and then in every odd years we have to report to the legislature how the equity fund is doing. And so, since it's an even year this year, not this year but next year by September 15th, we will have to do a presentation to the legislature on how everyone's doing and how this funding is making an impact in the communities of Oregon. Support and assistance, we are going to have a technical assistance. How do you say it? A system in place. We're still in the works of that currently because we want to make sure it makes sense. And so more information will come out, but we're going to provide technical assistance. We ask that you participate in the trainings and provide the information that's requested, and definitely communicate, with all the ELD personnel that's needed when it comes to TA. Okay. And then my last slide is on monitoring. Like I said earlier, Adina and I are not here to slap you on the wrist and say you're not doing what you're supposed to. We hope you're doing what you're supposed to. We're gonna come there and ask, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's better to see things in person than it is to read it on an email or a report. So you know what? Hey, can I come by and just do a quick visit? I kind of want to see how this program is doing. Oh, I want to come and see how this socialization, this play and learn group is going. And so things like that. March, and we're gonna ask for some data. Just all the simple, as you all know, the requests when it comes to monitoring and ensuring that everything's in compliance. But my biggest piece, and Adina and I are very, very, we completely agree and in full understanding, and want you all to know that we are here as your partners. Okay. And so here we're gonna, this is before COVID, is we were gonna do visits, but this might be virtual visits now, not knowing how this pandemic is gonna, how long it'll take. But then, it might be one-on-one, monthly phone calls, just video calls, just to see how you all are doing, what help you might need, what resources you need, who we can connect you with, and things like that. And so we want to make sure that the communities you said that you're going to serve, you are serving those communities. There are some very specific communities that that are listed that are going to be served, and we want to make sure all the communities are served. Okay, and so all this information you'll find in your grant manual. And so if you have any questions, put it in the chat box. If not, send Adina and I an email, and we'll go from there. And then I'm going to pass it on to Adina. Adina, do you want me to give you the presenter?
Yes, please.
Let me do that. And this is where I said, please be patient with us in technology, because, I am not the best when it comes to technology. So I'm a pure example. Make presenter. Yes.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Kimberly, nod your head. Okay. So I will start with registration. There's still probably 6 or 7 organizations that are not registered in our EGM system, in our payment system, so we can't process your funds at this time. So I emailed the ones that are missing. I emailed you last Tuesday. Please check your email. There's 3 steps that need to be completed that are not going through ELD office, so we really don't have control over it. If you started the process, if you completed it, great. If you are looking at this document and you say you never saw it before and you're not sure, please email me. We have loaded last Friday, around 20 organizations received their funds in EGM system, and those are mostly the ones that already did some kind of funding through ODE, so you should have received notification. Again, if you're not sure, please email us. I'm sure that you are ready to receive these funds, and we are ready to give them away. If you're not sure, email me and I will check your status.
Adina, can you make the screen bigger? Can you increase the shared screen? Yeah. Thank you.
Isabel,
yeah. Everyone can also enlarge their own screen, by the way. There's a setting that you can enlarge your own screen.
Yes. So that's as far as registration goes. Please, again, if you're not sure, if you didn't receive a notification from EGMS, reach out to us and we will make sure you are set up correctly. Second thing that many of you reached out to me, and it is part of our grant agreements, is a budget template. So what was approved in your budget, your amounts are different for some of you, but also with COVID and all this unprecedented times, a lot of things changed. So I will be sending you after this meeting simple Excel spreadsheet budget template. It looks exactly as the one that we had in RFA applications. Just fill out every part of it, add your funds, how much you are awarded, and that total should be here in this awarded funds once you enter all your personnel and non-personnel costs. And just email it to me when you're ready. I think that our tentative deadline is to have this back by 31st of October. You will still be able to claim funds in the meantime, but just make sure when you do that you are looking at our grant manual where it shows allowable and disallowable costs. So let me just zoom this in. All the personnel, non-personnel categories are exactly the same, what you already entered in your application. If you need to move some funds from insurance to, printing and copying or utilities, a lot of you work from home, so you have a different bills, feel free to do that. Just make sure that you're looking at the grant manual and you are you are aware what is allowed and what is not allowed. So this will be emailed to you after the meeting. A lot of you are receiving my emails or emails from ECEF in your spam or junk inbox. Just make sure that you check your inbox and every once in a while, because we will be sending a lot of communication after this meeting in the next couple of days. And then Finally, we have our reports. Many of you are curious about this. So we originally wanted to have, we were planning to have SharePoint site for you where all the resources will be available. Unfortunately, ODIT is working on that. We are trying to get access as soon as possible, which would allow you to see all the recordings, all the calendar invitations, but that is in process. In the meantime, we created this short interactive portal in Smartsheet. You don't have to be registered with Smartsheet. You will have access as any website, and with there you will be able to either select, are you a program grant or a planning grant recipients. In your grant agreement for program grant, we have monthly reports and we have a quarterly expenditure report. For planning grant, we have only quarterly expenditure report and quarterly performance report. If you scroll a little bit lower, you will see the timeline for reporting schedule. So monthly reports are due on 15th after the month, on 15th of the following month. Quarterly reports are due 45 days after the quarter ended. If you have questions again about reports, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm going to walk you through just like so you can see the interface part of the reports and what we are looking for. So if you look at this portal that you will receive, program grant monthly report. This is a report that will be that will be about population served. So you will have two parts of this report. You will have number of children and families served, and you will have demographic data collected on your enrollment form. So if you look at the document section here, you have ECF enrollment form. You can download that. I pulled it here just so you guys can see it. We are leaving this in a Word document because this is we want to show you the data that we will be collecting. You can customize it to have your company logo or add parts of your organization of the data that you are collecting internally that we will not be asking from you. So and also it's important to mention that we are not going to ask you individual names or anything like that. We will just want totals at the end of the month. So usually on intake forms, I've worked for HUD grants before, and they were very, they were very specific on race and ethnicity. In this form, we would like to see more details, and we kind of expanded the ethnicity and race portion so everybody can find themselves. So there's a lot of data there about the language of the child, race and ethnicity. There's some data about parent guardian. We left this here for if you are collecting names or anything. What we are interested in is relationship to the child. Our ELC, our Early Learning Council, specifically asked us to add this portion here that shows how many of your providers is foster parent or legal guardian or parents. And then at the end, we have income levels. So we added a chart here. This is the most recent chart. We will not ask to verify, pay stubs or income information. This is only however the parent or guardian declare themselves. So you have a little chart here that shows, okay, this is how many people is in this household, and we earn around here, and that's okay. This is for your guys. This is not for internal when it comes to us, but for you guys, you can circle, are they at poverty level, below or at. Again, we will email you this form. You can download it here. You can use it, modified. You can change everything. We just wanted to help you out as much as possible because this is the data that we will be collecting on our end. So this form can be found here. You can click on this link and it's going to take you to Google Docs where you can download it. So I am going to start with the first report, Program Planning Grant Monthly Report. We preloaded majority of things. So if you select your organization, you can select it here. You can select reporting month. You can add your name and your email address. And this is a required field because we want to be able to reach out to you if there's any questions on your report. Program activity. A lot of you have different program activities under the same grant. Some of you have 3 different grant streams that are separated, and you can do that separately. But if you are an organization that have parenting education and parent-child interaction, you can select both. So this drop-down allows you to select multiple activities, and it's gonna show you what numbers are we looking for. So here you can add, we served 50 children and 30 parents. Or we served 50 children and no parents. Or if you are selecting kindergarten transition, then parents are technically not included, but when you are doing any activities that include both parents and child, please enter both. We are not going to collect demographics of parents. We are just collecting demographic information of children. So here is your monthly demographics report. So that is data that is being collected from your intake form. To make it a little bit easier, we try to create some backup documentation. So there is this spreadsheet that is completely optional. We just try to help out. So we will never ask you to send this back to us. You can modify it. It's not locked, but if you enter, during intake, if you have intake specialists or somebody who will collect this data, this is a fun tool to have because you can, each section has a drop down, so it's easier to add all the data. And then if you go to the totals tab at the bottom, you can select which month you want to look at, and it's going to give you totals of how many children, which activity, male, female, age, everything is going to be there. You can use this, you can take a look at it. I can have one-on-one with you to show you how it works. But if you guys have already systems in place, how to collect this data, by all means use that. And the last thing is demographic report totals. This is going to be one PDF document that we are asking you to upload. So it is, give me a second, I have it here actually. So this is everything that is on that enrollment form. It's here, totals are here. So you can enter, all your data here. You can select the activities. You can put total number of kids, 30, and then you can do breakdown here. You can add totals. You can just move with shift all the way through the spreadsheet and add your totals there. Save it, sign it, and we don't require signature. You can just add your name. And then to go back to that, so on your monthly report, this is where you will attach your monthly demographics report, which is this form here. Again, I will email you all of this and say which report matches what, but this is where you will enter all your data, monthly collected data on demographics, and upload it to your reports. I know that this is a lot in one day, but we'll get there. And then last tab is activities, narrative, and outcomes. You can talk here about what you did that month, what are your expected outcomes, changes that you see, any kind of narrative that you want to change about that specific month for that activity. If you have, repetitive activity that doesn't change, or just copy from previous month, just add something there that tells us, hey, this program is going well and we don't have to panic about it. Again, we are still with program grants. Quarterly expenditure report matches exactly your budget template. everything that is in your budget template, every single field will be here. So you go again, you select your organization, you select your reporting quarter. So, you know, quarter one, July to September, I already draw this money because you submit your monthly, you know, drawdowns from EGM system. And now you're telling us, okay, we spend all this money in the previous 3 months. This is where we spend it. So you can add, you know, $10,000 went to salaries, and you can just move. None of these fields are required, so you can leave them empty. Just enter the amounts that you used. You know, we spent $15,000, $1,500 on rent. Everything else, you have the option to add indirect cost. And then if you have any other costs that are not, that you are not sure, do they fall to professional development or consultant and professional services, just add it here, and we will, you know, make sure that we understand what's going on. And then at the end, just add total that you draw for the previous 3 months. You can always click send me a copy of my responses. I'm OCD-ish like that, so I like to have everything that I send out. So you can always do this, and you will receive the same notification that I'm receiving on my end. So that is everything when it comes to program reports. Planning grant reports, it's significantly less data required. So on your expenditure report, it is exactly same for program grant. Everything that, every line item that is in your budget template will be here. So you can just enter your quarterly expenses here. Again, add amounts or dollars or funds that you can't figure out in which category they fall under, and then your totals for that quarter. On planning grant quarterly performance report, obviously you all applied. Either there was a need in your community, but you didn't have resources to actually explore it, or you would like to expand. This is where you tell us where the funds are being spent. So project narrative, we are doing outreach, this is what we done, this is how we did it under strategy. And then these are our expected outcomes. All these 3 fields are required. So everything that has a little red star, you are required to put them in. And again, at the end, you can submit, send a copy of your response, you can add your email, and you will receive that report. So again, you guys will receive this same view. Take a look at your reports, you know, play with it. You can even test it. Just send me an email saying this is a test, this is not the actual report that I want to submit. Your downloadable forms are here. Enrollment form, again, just showing you the data that we will be collecting. You're feel free to use it or customize it, as long as you keep all the demographics data there. Monthly demographic report, Excel, it's just a tool to help you out. If you choose to use it, you don't have to. If you have different, you know, tracking program or software in your organization. And the last one is demographic reports tools. Actually, I missed it. Demographic report PDF that will be required to be uploaded in Smartsheet. These are your timelines. Obviously, we are so behind on our grant, but we are effective July 1st. So if you served children so far and you did not collect all that detailed demographic data, try to do as much as possible. Or if you still have those parents and children available, reach out to them and ask them to fill that out. If not, then, you know, submit what you can, and then moving forward, please use this enrollment form. And that's all I have. I can't even imagine if we have any questions. If you would like to go over this one-on-one, please reach out to me or Kimberly. We'll definitely help you out, but we are really trying to make this as user-friendly as possible. Mm-hmm. So it's not a big deal.
If I have a question, can I ask it right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my question is about I still don't, I still haven't learned the name of the form, something like that. The one that you said at the beginning.
EGAMS.
My question,
EGAPS. Well, Juanita, for you, I know that you're on a good path to get registered. So that is just for your payment for the funds inside. I know that you already did that because I was checking the status this morning. So I know that you're communicating with somebody from ODE trying to finalize that portion.
yes, no, but my question is because I know that there are some other ones that got the preschool promise and the equity fund. Would that be only one form, or do we have to do one per program?
For EGAM system, for
Yes.
payments, or for reporting here?
Well, the form, you know, when we fill out the form, we already did it, as you already mentioned it. But I was just thinking if it was the equity fund or if it was the preschool promise. And I know that a lot of you guys also got both of the grants. So I want to know if we have to do one per grant, or just if we just did the one that we did already, would that be good for both programs, or are we expecting another one to do it again?
No. So the way EGAM systems work is you submit your W-9 and everything else, and they create institution ID. Many of the organization already have that, and that's why they didn't have to register. So like once you submitted that form, either here or to Preschool Promise, you get entered only once, and then we create 2 funding streams. So you just have to do it once.
Perfect. That was my question. Thank you so much.
And if you, by any chance, like, you will know what your institution ID is. So in case you receive a question from Preschool Promise Team or OPK, a lot of you are being funded from 2 different streams. Just, you know, make sure you tell them, hey, this is my institution ID. It's going to be 4 numbers long, and it can be found. Also, we put the link in manual so you can search for yourself. Like, I have an organization that actually has institution ID that went through a registration process, but they were actually there. So if you're not sure, again, reach out to us, we'll help you out. But there's a link in instructions, in payment instructions on in our program manual, where you can actually click on it, and it's going to give you Oregon Department of Education ID registration, and you can search by your organization name. So once you register either with Preschool Promise or any other grant, and you received payment through EGAMS, you're good to go.
Thank you.
No problem.
And then I'm going to answer Patricia's question about the third-party evaluators. Yes. The question on, you know, storytelling and qualitative data. Yes, that's why they're going to call and ask for volunteers from the organizations to sit at the table to have the conversations on what is the most appropriate way to gather data, you know, and what data should be collected. And so, with that being said, you know, storytelling is definitely a big, huge one with cultural backgrounds, you know, and so that's where you can go to the table and say, hey, you know, like for people of color, people of different cultural backgrounds, you know, a lot of our history is passed through storytelling. We have this and that and that. And so that's where you would be able to have the conversation, and you will compromise with the third party evaluator on what is going to be assessed. And so that's the place for you to have that conversation.
We also have a question that I forgot to mention, but if programs run all year, do we report on same demographic each month or only non-duplicated? So yes, we are collecting non-duplicated data. We are also collecting data throughout the year. So if you have 40 children that you are serving year long, include them there. You don't have to do the demographics part. You can just add in narrative of the report. So for example, here, can you guys see? Yes. So here, if you are serving same children, then, you know, you can add here, not including demographic reports, since they're same children from previous month, or, you know, because we don't want you to submit 40 children times 12, and then it seems like you served, you know, a lot more Oregon children than you did. However, if you have two programs, if you have parenting education and kindergarten transition, and you have 40 children that attend this activity and also this activity, we want you to report them separately, because we want to show that there are 40 children that received services here and here. And even though they're same children, the services provided are different. So we want to count them twice. I hope that makes sense.
You know, many you know, when we talk about the different programs that are available for funding at the ELD, you know, this is the least structured one. You know, a lot of folks have said, wow, you know, for preschool promise, they want this, and there's a prescribed formula in doing this. Well, with the equity fund, we purposely made it as broad as we could, because we know there's not one definition of what a culturally specific organization is. Okay? There's no cookie cutter mold that said you all must look like this to be successful with your community. We know every community is different. So you have to mold and shape your program to fit your community. But there has to be that same data that we're going to ask from all of you, right? And so that's why we're asking that you all really work with Adina and I, because we want to understand and know your program as much as we can, and to be your partner through this, because we know there's so many communities that are going to be served through this equity fund that are different from each other. Okay. And so it was kept broad purposely for that reason. And so we want to respect the different communities out there. And so instead of having a prescribed, very prescribed policies or expectations for the program, we left it broad, and so you can have the ability to do that and to work with your community. And so let's see, as I look through the questions in the chat, it looks like we've answered them. If any of you have any more questions, definitely please do not hesitate to connect with Adina and I. We have shared our phone numbers, our cell numbers with you. You have our emails. Send us an email. Send the email to the equity fund email as well, and one of us will get back to you. But other than that, you know, that's all what we have for today. You know, going over the general program expectations, requirements, and going over the reporting. And so if there's nothing else, then it looks like we have an extra hour for you all to take a break, self-care. So we'll stay on if anyone wants to ask us any questions, but that'll be all.